I teach 7th and 8th grade, world history for 7th grade and American history for 8th grade. I am not a traditional teacher, and not that there's anything bad, it's just not my method. We could be up, we could be discussing, we could be creating, we could be investigating, we could be dissecting, and so when I became a teacher, I was like, I want my classroom to reflect that idea. I want it to reflect all the different types of students as I prepare, especially the 8th graders to go to high school. I want to make sure that they can use all different types of skills. They can analyze, but they can create. I like to play music because I know that's how I work well. I like to allow them choice and voice in the classroom. They are engaged with me, that they want to be a part of this, and that we're co-conspirators in this teaching and learning relationship. I even use their language, which they get so embarrassed. I do it wrong, and I do it on purpose, and you just see their face and they're like, just stop. I'm not even trying to do it legitimately. It's just, keep them on their toes. I'm not gonna lie, there are days I'm here at 5:45 in the morning and gone at 5 o'clock in the evening. Just trying to balance, because I try not to take too much home because I want to have a work life and a family life. I'm okay with putting in that time because I know that the hard work will pay off. I won't see it necessarily, but I know it will pay off in some form or fashion. All the schools are great, but this building specifically and the people that surround me, I enjoy coming to work and learning from them. I enjoy the students for the most part. No, I do enjoy them. They laugh at me too, but just trying to get them out of their own way and sometimes not be kids and other times let them be kids.
I teach human anatomy and I teach college biology, and they're dual credit classes that college-bound students take. Upperclassmen, juniors, and seniors mostly. Teaching the human body, it's pretty complex, and so I always like those moments where the students finally understand the information that we've been going over in class. They have those light bulb moments, as people say. A lot of the students in the human anatomy class, they want to be doctors or nurses, and so they already have that love for science, and so I just try to build on top of that. We'll see how they do with the frog dissection today, but many of them, this is their first experience doing some of these things, and in lab we try to incorporate a lot of labs to make it more interesting and hands-on for them. My teaching philosophy mostly is just make learning fun, because if I can't make it interesting, if I don't act like I'm interested in it, they're not going to be interested in it either. So before I started teaching, I was working with youth at church, and so that was one of the reasons why I became a teacher, is because I liked working with teenagers. I knew that I had a love for science, and so I just kind of put those two together and became a high school science teacher. I had found out that there was a position at Nixa, and I had been working at some smaller districts, and I wanted to come and see what a big district was like. I had heard really good things about Nixa, and so I thought I'd take a shot, and I have not been disappointed since. The thing I like most about teaching is building relationships with students, learning about what they're interested in outside of class. I feel like building those relationships early on will help them to learn better in my class and make them more comfortable. I remember my teachers in high school, especially my science teacher. I still think about what kind of impact he had on my life, and I hope that I can do the same for my students.
I am a speech-language pathologist, and I work with K through 6 students, and I do DSL, which is developmental speech and language classroom, so I get to do a little bit of teaching, and then I do traditional therapy. Any child that has language or speech disorders, I'll work with them specifically on goals. I just love to do play-based therapy with the kids, so it's just trying to get them to express themselves through play and just seeing the milestones that they achieve. It makes it rewarding, and parents providing us feedback that they've noticed they're talking more at home or something like that. That's what makes it fun. I was born in Seoul, South Korea, and I was abandoned by my mom, and I got adopted into a great family and got to come to the United States. I got adopted into a family that are all teachers. So my mom was a teacher, my dad was a teacher, grandpa. They just inspired me to look into something in education, and I just felt like this was the best fit for me. I grew up in a very small town and been at Nixa for 17, 18 years now, so I just loved it here. This building in particular, I haven't moved. They're my family, you know, and I couldn't do anything on my own. I mean, we work as a team, and so I think it's the family feeling and that I'm with my friends all the time. I just love the kids. I just feel like we all have their best interest at heart, and so it just makes it nice to come to work.
People look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them I teach 6th grade, and I never thought I would want to do this grade. 6th graders can be interesting, but I love them. They're awkward, they're figuring themselves out. They still love you as their teacher, you know, they're not too cool. They're not afraid to like challenge you either, and I love that. It keeps me interested every day. So when I was 3 years old, my mom has pictures of me. I would line up all my stuffed animals and my dolls, and I would teach them in my room for hours. My older siblings thought it was the weirdest thing. They would come in and, you know, destroy my classroom full of Beanie Babies. But I'd never even considered anything else, which I don't really come from a family of educators, so I'm not really sure how I got there. I did 5th grade for 3 years, and then there was an opening in 6th grade, and I loved my class so much, I asked Mrs. Gradell if I could loop with my class, so I got to keep the same class for 2 years, which was incredible. And then I stayed in 6th grade. I love teaching reading and writing because you get to talk about real things that are important. It's important for us to talk about events like the Holocaust. It's important for us to talk about events going on in the news. These kids they're hearing bits and pieces of information, and I think it's our job as educators to kind of help connect those dots and get them to think critically. In our small groups, we get into such deep conversations, and I feel like I really get to know my kids. Like, they think we're talking about books, but really I'm able to check in with them in groups of 4 or 5 and just like make sure they're doing okay. Like, that's a really good opportunity to connect with them, and sometimes they'll, you know, make connections to the book, and it'll open a conversation about what's something that's going on in their life. And I don't know, just having that connection and that relationship with all of my kids is so important to me. It matters, you know, education is so important, teaching is important, and I love working with this age.